Again, for want of space and the need to adhere to the COVID-19 protocol, please, I plead that only names including
all together! Attention!
Okay, the people is connected.
Yes, they are doing a mock trial.
Not necessarily in the court.
No, this is federal minister, that's federal high court.
And you know in real court.
Yeah.
This man will be in the court.
Yes, but now not necessarily in the court. You can do it.
How will you connect the police if the police is the one?
They will just connect to the link that we sent. Just like we sent out to this link. They connected to this link. So they connect to the link. Yes.
Participate.
Yes.
Whatever it is.
Yes, my lord.
Yeah.
Yes, my lord.
Okay. That's what I'm doing.
So the access is equal.
Ya gari. Ceremony of the launch of the Kuje Correctional Centre newly deployed virtual courtroom. Today's occasion is not just phenomenal but historic, as it underpins the concrete commitment of the present government under President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, in enhancing speedy access to justice and repositioning the correctional service in line with standard global practices. Particularly gratifying to the fact that the virtual courtrooms to be inaugurated today is a pilot scheme to be replicated in other facilities nationwide. The target of this initiative is to significantly address the perennial challenge of overcrowding in most of our urban facilities. Of significant note is the fact that virtual courtroom sessions will also drastically reduce the cost and danger of conveying awaited trial persons to and from courts. This and much more make this intervention unique and most desirable. I make bold to say that this kind of synergy and sense of commitment by all the key players in the criminal justice system will certainly go a long way to guarantee quick dispensation of justice and respect for the right of all citizens. On this note, I wish to most sincerely appreciate Mr. President for displaying great concern for the Nigerian Correctional Service through sustained funding, thereby reinvigorating the service for efficiency. Our appreciation also goes to the Honorable Minister, Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abaka Malemi San, for championing this great intervention and for taking particular interest in ameliorating the problem of overcrowding in our custodial centers. In the same vein, I wish to sincerely applaud the Presidential Committee on Correctional Reforms and Congestion for their dedication to this onerous task of going around our custodial centers, expediting the justice process and advising government on ways to improve our judicial system. Let me also appreciate the UNDP as well as the government of Japan for the technical collaboration and funding support for the subject. Permit me also to express my sincere gratitude to the Minister of Interior, Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, for the pragmatic leadership and commitment in canvassing for greater funding and general support of the service. As you are all aware, keeping felons out of circulation and providing them with the needed care and support to enable their reformation, rehabilitation, and reintegration back to society is a erroneous task. Therefore, the Nigerian Correctional Service will continue to count on support from both state and non-state actors to deliver on our mandate in line with the NCOS Act 2019. We remain undeterred by the unfortunate actions of a few criminal elements who want to thwart the trajectory of progress recorded by this government. We state our commitment for a virile and professional Nigerian Correctional Service. Once again, I welcome you all.
The Minister of Interior.
Brother, the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. But I felt I must commit to writing what I must say here. Because what we are doing is like the visit, the first landing of man on the moon, when one of the astronauts, I think is Neil Armstrong, who said, this first step of a man is a giant leap for mankind. This small pilot effort is a major, major leap for administration of criminal justice in Nigeria, major leap. And for those of us who are connected with that process, we must hail it. We must appreciate it. We must commend it very, very loudly. So I titled this, For Justice to Flow Like a River. I titled my small remark, For Justice to Flow Like a River. It gives me great pleasure to be at this landmark event. I must therefore thank the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice and the staff of the Ministry of Justice, and all those who have supported this process for the kind invitation to the newly deployed virtual courtrooms at the Kuje Custodial Centre, Kuje, Abuja, FCT. It is universally accepted and as valid the dictum that justice delayed is justice denied. This is why the government has been uncomfortable at the long time it takes for cases to be disposed with in our courts. And you have heard the various reasons from those who could give the reasons, either because of challenge of logistic, non-appearance of counsel, and all sorts. Then we know that it is almost part of our criminal justice system for cases to be delayed in courts. By our records, 50,992 inmates, representing 74% of the total population of inmates in our custodial centers, are awaiting trial suspects, while only 17,755 inmates, which is a mere 26% of the actual convicts. The challenges of safety and external attacks at the custodial centers for most part come, therefore, from their awaiting trial inmates, given their numerical strength. Regrettably, because justice is delayed for the awaiting trial inmates, many of them die before the conclusion of their trial. Many also have had to be in custody beyond the maximum sentence of the offense they were charged with. If they had been found guilty, they would not have stayed for the length of time they stayed. All these constitute injustice, which prick our conscience as a nation and as a government. You will recall last year, at the peak of COVID-19 pandemic and phenomenon, the Ministry of Justice, in collaboration with the Ministry of Justice, in collaboration with the Ministry of Interior, had to embark on a program of amnesty and pardon at the outbreak of COVID-19, which President Muhammadu Buhari graciously approved. This enabled us to free more than 5,000 inmates and decongested the Custodial Centres. To the glory of God, we did not record a single case of COVID-19 infection in any of our custodial facilities. To me, this is a major achievement that is underrated, undervalued, and unrecognized. Because even nations that are economically advanced than us did not have such a record. To date, and I stand to be challenged or contradicted, we have not recorded in any of our custodial facility any infection of COVID-19, no. Talkers of transmission. And it's the professionalism of our officers in those facilities. So I salute them. One of the ways we are addressing congestion is the building of a 3,000 high capacity custodial facility in each of the 6 geopolitical zones. And they are in Abuja, FCT, Kano, Janguza, Kano State, Buri in Rivers State. The plan is to extend it to the other 3 zones, 3 geopolitical zones in the Federation. The Kano and Abuja projects are nearing completion. When these projects are completed, they will ease congestion considerably. I don't know if we follow the speech of the Comptroller General. Congestion is an urban phenomenon. And that's why it's very acute. In the custodial facilities in the towns are not too well urbanized centers. Because of the limited number of convicts, you hardly have congestion, and there are very many. All these projects, when these projects are completed, they will ease congestion considerably. All these projects are designed to have courts in situ and aid the distribution of justice. But what we are doing today has made it, though that is our plan, the virtual courtroom is something else. It means we can dispense with cases in a jiffy, believing that all the other components of effective and efficient management of cases will be present, but there won't be any issue of logistics anymore. But this novel idea of virtual courtrooms is in a class of its own and should be highly commended. I cannot hold back my excitement. I was in London when the invitation came, and I told myself, whatever it will cost me, I must be here. So I landed this morning, and I felt it to be totally unthinkable for me not to be here to tell the world that we're in the threshold of a phenomenal action or development that will totally transform administration of criminal justice in Nigeria. All those of you who are involved in this, you are men of history, and I commend you. I commend, therefore, the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice for the creative and innovative spirit that brought this about. It means the cost of transportation, the time lost in transit, and the often grave risk involved in moving suspects around will be cut altogether. It means justice will be speeded for the accused, and our dream of quick justice will soon be realized. This will further help with decongesting the custodial centers and reduce the pressure of insecurity, safety, and health challenges associated with congestion. There might be many more from the legal point of view, but these are our own opinion, in our own opinion, are the advantages of these virtual courtrooms. I will urge the Ministry of Justice, together with my ministry, the ministry in which I administer, as well as our development partners, to support an extension, wide extension, of this novelty to all urban, to start with, to all urban custodial facilities. And let me be very specific. I mean Kano, I mean Kaduna, I mean Lagos, I mean Port Harcourt, I mean Enugu, I mean Ibadan, I mean Abeokuta, I mean Aba, I mean Owerri, I mean Benin City, and I mean Anambra State. These are locations where we are challenged with congestion by the awaiting trial inmates. So I'm making this public plea to all our partners to support this creative idea of the Ministry of Justice. And let us rapidly extend this facility. Don't let us wait on budget. You have to wait on budget. It might take forever. Those who really genuinely love us, to support us, to extend this facility to all our urban custodial facilities. I'll take that paragraph again. I will urge the Ministry of Justice to extend, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Interior, and all development partners to extend this novelty to all custodial facilities in the country, starting with the urban centers. With the special cooperation of state government, since most offenders are indeed state offenders, being tried under state laws, under state courts, by state judges. As we are advocating for virtual courtrooms, we are advocating that the state governments should support the rapid decongestion of our facilities. Creatively, we have set the standard and the formula for this. We want them to apply themselves to those formulas and support our effort to decongest, to rapidly decongest the facilities. There are other things that are necessary to be done to speed this dispensation of justice and decongestion of custodial facilities. The first is to look at our judicial system and bring about reforms that will incorporate creative ideas, from suspended sentence to home sentencing and non-custodial sentencing. Yes, that is almost there. We will soon get there when we get the necessary support that we are already working on. The Minister of Justice is quite aware of this, and both of us are working hard to ensure that the non-custodial provision in our law, in our new act or new law, will be activated. The second is the need to eliminate the adjournment tactics of lawyers. And I'm happy NBA is there, through which they deliberately prolong cases and survive the course of justice. There should be a terminal date for determination of cases. I'm not about the general. I don't know what I'm going to do to this. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know how it is done. But please, probably there could be something that will say cases must be handled within a given period of time, not just to give it an endless process that might last forever. So working with the Chief Justice of Nigeria, help us have terminal dates or period for management of cases. there should be a terminal day for solution of cases once they are opened. The counsel on both sides knew they have to do their own work well. And once a case is opened, it must have a terminal date. All this will require the proactive stance of the Ministry of Justice. And it is my sincere hope that the ministry will give them serious consideration. Well, I will not want to say some of the things that I have here openly. I would rather discuss with them, with my brother, privately. But it's important for us to emphasize the fact that the percentage of either awaiting trial inmates or convicts in our charge at the federal level is less than 1%. The federal offenders in Nigeria are less than 1% of the inmates of our custodial facility. So almost 99% are state offenders. We must therefore appeal to the state government to support this process of one, accelerated conclusion of cases, and and amnesty, pardon, for those who are there far beyond the time they should be there, were they even to be convicted. There are several other conditions and factors we put together to aid the state government in rapid decongestion of our facilities. I must once again thank the Minister of Justice for his kind invitation to me to be here, and pray that this pilot program will see the light of the day and serve effectively its purpose and compel its nationwide deployment. I must also thank the Japanese government and people.
Your Excellency, my Lord, the Honorable, the Chief Judge of the FCT High Court, here present, the Chairman, Presidential Committee on Decongestion and Reforms of Correctional Centres, my Lord, Honorable Justice Isaac Bello, retired, the representative of the government of Japan and representative of UNDP, here present, the CG, Nigerian Correctional Service, CG Haliru Nababa, directors, generals, and heads of ministries, departments, and agencies of government here present, my lords, temporal and spiritual, here present, and the directors, indeed, of the Federal Ministry of Justice, the chairman, the secretary, and members of the Presidential Committee on Decongestion and Reforms of Nigerian Correctional Centres, here present, the representative of the Nigerian Bar Association, here present, members of the civil society organizations, here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and members of the press. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this epoch-making event, which is the launching of the virtual court sitting facilities deployed here at the Kuje Correctional Centre for virtual court sittings proceedings. Permit me to thank the Honorable Minister of Interior, Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, the Controller General of Nigerian Correctional Service, the Nigerian Correctional Service, the Government of Japan, and the United Nations Development Program for their cooperation and funding support, which has made today's event a reality. One of the strategic interventions by the Federal Ministry of Justice towards engaging lasting reforms in the criminal justice sector in Nigeria was the development of the Consolidated Sentencing Guidelines, Custodial and Non-Custodial Practice Direction 2020, working with the judiciary, in particular with the FCT judiciary. The ministry, in collaboration with the Presidential Committee on Correctional Reforms and Decongestion, thereafter hosted a virtual technical session involving crucial stakeholders to review and validate the draft document. At the end of the session, it was recommended that the Federal Ministry of Justice should expedite its engagement with the Nigerian Correctional Centres to make it possible for the evidence of suspects in custody to be taken without their physical presence in court to avoid disruptions. This program today is a reenactment and consolidation of the Spirit of Administration of Criminal Justice Act, targeted at speedy determination of cases by way of eliminating delays and displacement of denial of justice, which will further support our policy of decongestion of correctional centers across the country. As a government, we employed legislative solution by way of enacting the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. We equally reenact policy decisions by way of having in place Presidential Committee on Decongestion and Reform of Correctional Centers, which has been established by what the committee has been doing in terms of aggressive decongestion of correctional centers formations across the country. We equally consolidated that effort by what we are witnessing this afternoon in terms of deployment of technology for the purpose of establishing speedy determination of justice through deployment of technological process. It may be recalled that in my press release issued on the 20th April 2020 on post-COVID justice system plans, I had expressed the resolve of the Federal Ministry of Justice to respond appropriately to the challenges posed by the pandemic to the administration of justice in the country in collaboration with other critical stakeholders in the justice sector. I also emphasized that there was a need for a paradigm shift in the administration of justice through the deployment of appropriate technology to drive the administration of justice. Accordingly, on the 27th day of April 2020, the Committee on Post-COVID-19 Justice System in Nigeria was constituted and inaugurated. The primary aim of the committee is to assess and identify the challenges and impact of the pandemic on the entire justice system and make appropriate, actionable recommendations on the immediate, medium, and long-term measures for addressing the challenges of the pandemic. One of the mandates of the committee is to work with the Nigerian Correctional Service to establish virtual courtrooms, studios, and correctional centers to enable suspects in custody participate in the remote hearing of cases or bail applications. Consequently, in this regard, the ministry partnered with the UNDP and Japanese government towards deploying virtual court proceedings in correctional centers nationwide with a pilot project in Kuje Correctional Centre, which we are here today to launch as a pilot project. As you may recall, the COVID-19 pandemic pushed various sectors of the economy of most countries of the world into complete shutdown, from private sector organizations to public organizations and even the criminal justice sector. Court proceedings became delayed, and there was an ensuing collapse of prosecution of several higher profile cases. In the circumstance, the correctional centers were becoming overcrowded and gradually sliding into a very critical state. The pandemic created a problem that basically could not be solved without the adoption of technology. This project, therefore, initiated to ensure the hearing and determination of urgent and time-bound cases using the digital platform. This system will equally ensure speedy dispensation of trials, in line with Section 36 of Section 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, which provides that every person shall be entitled to fair hearing within a reasonable time. It will also eliminate the issue of difficulties in conveying the inmate to court and will further ensure the safety and security of the inmates and law enforcement officers. We are no longer constrained by mobility, space, and time in the justice delivery on account of accommodation of the virtual court sitting facilities and deployment of incidental technology we are witnessing here today. Notably, our system is founded on the constitutional principle of fundamental rights to fair hearing that requires the court to hear and determine cases in public and the physical presence of the suspect or parties in court. I assure you that the virtual court proceedings are in compliance with the provision of Section 36, subsection 3 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which provides for public court sitting or hearing. These virtual court proceedings meet up with the expectations of the constitutions and are not private hearings, but open to the respective counsel involved in the litigations and the general public at large. In addition, it is important to note that this virtual court hearing will not in any way contravene the provisions for the arraignment, taking of evidence, tendering of documents, cross-examination, and general conduct of criminal proceedings. Inasmuch as these are done in accordance with the said provisions, the virtual hearing will be valid. This initiative will in no measure help boost the economy by ensuring that funds meant for the movement of the inmates will be channeled to other essential areas of needs in the correctional centers and assist the country to meet up with global best practices in terms of administration of criminal justice. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have no doubt whatsoever that the effective deployment of these facilities for the virtual court sitting proceedings for the inmate will significantly contribute to the overall efficiency of the criminal justice system in Nigeria. As we launch these facilities today, I am hopeful that this initiative will bring about effective virtual court sitting in correctional centers nationwide, which will feed into the adoption of the National Judicial Council guidelines on virtual remote court sittings and quick access to justice for incarcerated citizens in correctional centers across the Federation. At this juncture, I must appreciate the commitment and dedication of the Administration of Criminal Justice Reform, a Department of the Federal Ministry of Justice, the representative of the UNDP, and indeed all stakeholders who worked round the clock to ensure the success of this project. On behalf of the President, President Muhammadu Buhari, Federal Republic of Nigeria, I thank and express our deep appreciation to the government of Japan and UNDP for their funding support. We look forward to a continued collaboration, and it is on this note that I wish to declare the facility open. I thank you most sincerely for attendance.
Sorry.
Corrections.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
It's correct.
It's something that will bring some success.
Steven, so that you can promote.
And that's a little job.
Secretary, Presidential Committee are taking a good photograph. Thank you very much.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.